Hi everyone, and welcome to Insights by Johnita Francis, coming to you live on A1R Psychic Radio and also Moonstruck TV. So much has happened since we last spoke. Where do I even start? On Saturday morning of last week, which is your Friday night, I started to feel really odd. And it kind of, I don't know, it was hard for me to wrap my head around it. I work very much in the masculine, and mediumship and psychic abilities and all that sort of stuff is very much a divine feminine energy. It's a nurturing energy. And so I don't really associate myself with the divine feminine as much, because I find it interferes with my ability to provide information. So when I was shifting, I actually recognized that there was this tiny little part of me that had been locked away. And I was doing the transformation show on my Facebook page, Insights by Johnita, and I recognized that there was something in this. And the more I talked to the viewers and the more I just sounded it out and got that information out of me feeling and symbols and getting some information through and getting it out via the throat chakra and being able to sound it out. You know how sometimes things just make more sense when you start talking about them and pulling them apart and dissecting them. And that's what I did. And pretty much from that point forward, things went downhill. Let me explain to you what downhill means. I developed the headache from the depths of hell in about less than 24 hours after I started sounding this out. I started getting some really excruciating pain in my left side of my body, my neck, my eye. It felt like I had a migraine, but only that sharp stabbing pain in behind my left eye. Right side was clear. There's nothing uncomfortable or painful about my right side at all. Now, we know that the left side is the past, so I'm like, okay, something from my past. What are we doing here? What are we processing? How does this feel? And the stabbing pain and the ability or the inability to be able to use my left arm without it being excruciating kind of said to me that I was hanging on to something that I'd locked away. So I dissected that a little bit more. And by Monday morning, I had, I'm not going to say migraine, because a migraine is so debilitating, and this was coming in waves of discomfort, pain, physical pain. I actually rode my motorcycle to work on Monday, and the ride there was phenomenal. Freezing. It was about 5 or 6 degrees Celsius, but I got there and everything was fine, and I worked the day, and I just started feeling genuinely unwell sort of just after lunch. And I thought, okay, I'll pack up at about 3 o'clock and I'll go home and I'll just have a sleep, and maybe this will pass. I know that it's a shift. I know I'm leveling up on a spiritual level. I know how this goes. I've been here. I've walked this path before. I'll just go home and have a little snooze. I actually didn't get out of work till 6:30. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon, 4:30. By the time I got home, it was about 20 to 6. And I literally had 2 things to eat, 2 bites of toast, and went straight to bed and stayed there. And it was a night of almost straight out of Hollywood movies. There was so much going on that I actually didn't feel like I was even on the planet. That's not unusual when mediums shift. We see crazy things at the best of times. So when we do a spiritual shift or leveling up on a spiritual level, we do tend to see some crazier stuff. That's nothing unusual. Went to work Tuesday. Probably not the smartest idea in the world. I was so tired. I was not on planet Earth. I just felt really woozy. There was nothing sick or unwell about me. I knew that it was a shift. I knew that there wasn't an underlying problem here. I knew that it wasn't a medical reason. I knew that I couldn't talk to a GP about it because they'd probably lock me up in the loony house. So I drove to work. I just decided not to ride my motorcycle just in case. Drove to work, and then as I was driving home, I actually had The only way to describe it is like someone was trying to vacuum my soul out of my body. And it was going down the highway, 100 kilometres an hour, and feeling like at any moment I was just going to jump out of my body. And I know that's really hard to wrap your head around, but if you've astral travelled, or sometimes you feel like you're just not here, you're a bit of a space cadet, and that's what it felt like. I actually rang my husband because I was in two minds whether to vomit or whether to cry, because I just needed to ground, and both of those things were grounding. I just needed to make sure that I stayed in the car and I didn't astral travel. Now, I've been astral travelling at will for a very long time. I had a horrific childhood, so most of the trauma that happened when I was younger, I used to just astral travel and get the hell out of Dodge, and then I didn't have to put up with that traumatic stress and everything else that comes along with that sort of stuff. So I knew, and I was able to identify that this was what was going on. I was, my body was saying, okay, let's go. And I'm thinking, yeah, but this is in the middle of the day, and I'm driving down the highway, and it's a bad time to leave me, Lucille. So I spoke to my husband, and I explained that I wasn't going loony, and he'd seen me do some pretty weird stuff, and our house has done some pretty weird stuff. So he knew that I wasn't a candidate for the asylum. And he spoke to me and kept me talking the entire time, and it was really one of the most scary situations I've ever been in. I felt like that I was just going to pop off Earth. Now, I have done that during normal channeling, so it's not, I knew what it was. I was able to identify it, so that took the fear factor off. But the thing is, usually I say to Spirit, that's guys, poor timing, come back later, and that's what happens. They come back later, not this time. This time was very, very different. So Wednesday comes, I'm thinking, okay, I've had about 12 hours sleep overnight for Tuesday night. Slept, quite heavily on Monday night. Generally, when your body is at rest or sleeping, you're healing and you're working through whatever the shift is. So, to work through or to push through it, keep yourself going is one of the worst things you could possibly do. You just kind of have to suck it up and let things happen. So I went to work yesterday, and I knew I had a couple of little things I needed to finish off at end of month. Then the pressure was off me, and I could go home and have a sleep. I got to about 10 o'clock, and I thought, oh, my goodness, I've been here for 3 hours. It feels like I've been here for 30 hours. I can't keep going. I'm just going to call it a day and go home. And the same thing happened on my drive home again. It felt like I was fading in and out, like I was trying to be sucked out of Earth and go somewhere else or whatever's going on. It's difficult to explain if you haven't actually traveled before. So I got home, jumped in bed. I was in bed by about 12 o'clock and just slept all afternoon. Woke up, got in touch with my friends, let them know that I was okay and that I was still here and I wasn't in a straitjacket or off to the mental asylum or anything like that. And then I just slept again. And my first reading this morning was at 5:30. And it was a beautiful lady over in the UK, and we do a lot of video conferencing. So I do a lot of video conferencing, which is, the internet has been an amazing tool for that whole reason. And halfway through, when how I always get my stones, I always get my crystals for the readings, and I actually picked up a stone for this lady, and it's a Shiva, which is I hold it up on the screen now. It's not the world's prettiest stone, to be honest. If you're on the radio, it kind of looks like a giant poop. It is poop colour. My particular one's got beige poop lines running through it and dark brown poop lines running through it. It's shaped like a poop too. It is not the prettiest. But what this stone is all about, and my first reading this morning, that was my first reading I'd done for a couple of days because I just needed to have my hibernation sabbatical, my little, okay, guys, I'm ready to receive whatever this level up is, but can you just back off the appointments just for a little bit so I can get my head around it, so I can be more useful to people, so I can provide better and clearer information for the people I read for. And the universe shuffled everything around for me, and it was perfect, absolutely perfect. So this lady this morning is also balancing the masculine and the feminine energies. Now, the Shiva is all about balancing masculine and feminine energies. It's about embracing that you can have both. It's not about giving up your masculine energy or giving up your feminine energy. It means that you can embrace both and you can flip between the two. Now, as I was talking to this lady, it dawned on me, hang on a minute, this lady is going through what I've just gone through. She's about to go through where I've just come out of. And that is, I knew that I had this tiny little piece of me locked away. When I started to talk it out, I knew that it was there. And my eyes kept filling up with tears on the transformation show while I was talking about every time I mentioned the words divine feminine. I get this big rush of emotion, big tears in my eyes. And I explained that this is what was going on. And there's obviously something there because I'm listening to my body. I'm feeling how my body's reacting to it. And I had some pretty horrific lessons to go through in my lifetime to get me here. And, I wouldn't trade them for all the tea in China. I wish I could have read them in a book and just did an exam instead of having to actually live them. But, where's the fun in that? And I realized that it's safe for me to bring this tiny little piece of me out. And I know myself really, really well. I am literally, without fear of sounding too ego, I am my favorite subject because I want to know how I can move forward. I want to know how I can break down more layers. I want to learn how to grow. I want to be the very best version of myself that I can possibly be. So I am my favorite subject. You guys are my second favorite subject because for me to understand myself, then I take that information and go, right, this is how I did it. I might not know the shortcut. I might not know the easiest way or the best way, but this is how I did it. And the fact that you're standing right in front of me right now says that maybe this will be in alignment with how you can come to your conclusions and understandings of learning about yourself as well. So I'm sitting in this reading this morning and I'm going, right, I get this spirit. I get this. I've tucked away this tiny little piece and I'm in an environment now where I'm safe. My husband is a beautiful human being. He's a boy, so I think we all know what boys can be like sometimes, but that's the beautiful part of being boys, That's why they're boys, because they get to be that really simplistic way of looking at things. And us girls, we overcomplicate freaking everything, don't we? So, and I'm safe with him. Nothing that I talk to this man about is going to throw him. I can speak so honestly and so authentically raw, and he just, might go and get a cup of tea and a biscuit while he listens to me, but he listens. And in my friends circle, it's the same. There's nothing there that we can't talk about openly and honestly. And while I'm thinking about all these things, I think, wow, we talk all the time about happiness and what that looks like and our perception on life and how we can change our perception and how we're processing things. And I knew that there was some sort of something inside of me. I could feel it so long ago that just needed to come out, but I didn't know what that thing was. So how do you search for something you don't know what it looks like or what it feels like or even what it is? How do you research how to find the thing within you if you don't know what you're looking for? It's just this funny feeling. So divine timing comes along, and I recognize that I've got this little thing, and I don't even know what it is, and I keep calling it a thing. And I think it's self-preservation. And I think the reason why it's coming out now, and my eyes keep filling up with tears every time I talk about the divine feminine, is because masculines are hunter-gatherers, okay? They're the protectors. This is what the masculine side does. It's the logic side, not the spirit side. It's the doer, it's to get things done. And I had to live my life like that for so long because of the abusive environments I was in, or the abusive relationships I was in, or the abusive career places and job places that I worked at, or the fact that it was just a really high-risk industry to start with, such as security and aviation and maritime and all that sort of stuff that I have worked in. So I thought, okay, what's this tiny little bit? How am I going to uncover it? I kind of know it's girly. I know that it's deep within me. I know that it's a balancing act for me to be able to pull it out. But I know now that it's safe for me to pull it out. So now I'm just trying to work out, okay, let's go. I keep putting it in my heart. And I keep, every time I mention the divine feminine, I put my hand over my heart, and I'm watching myself do this, and I'm thinking about, okay, why do I do this? Why does it feel like I need to burp every time I mention this? Every time I touch my heart, it feels like I've got indigestion. What is it that needs to come up? There's my burp. Precisely my point. And I think what it is there's a small part of me that thinks that if I'm completely vulnerable and I let this tiny little piece of me out, will I still be safe? Will I still be okay? Do I need to give up parts of me that I enjoy and that I've taken so long to work out and that I've invested so much time and energy into? Do I need to give up any of that to be able to have this little piece? And is this little tiny piece, even though I think it's a little tiny piece, is it a huge key to unlock any blockage that I've had or any way of moving forward or any releasing of the trauma that I've gone through? What is this tiny little piece? Why is it so important? And I still haven't worked it out. Here we are, almost a week later, and I still haven't worked it out. But you know what? I know that I'm coming out the other side of my shift. And, you know, shifts can manifest in a whole bunch of ways. Sometimes you can feel like you're a little bit drunk. You're a little bit unsteady on your feet. Sometimes you'll get vertigo. Sometimes you feel like butterflies just flew over you and all your body just feels like butterfly wings. You know, you're like a butterfly in your belly, but all over your body. Sometimes you get headaches, like I had this massive headache. Sometimes it'll give you a bigger indicator, and my indicator this time was my whole entire left side down to my belly button. So I'm thinking, okay, it's past information that I need to think about. All right, now I know where to kind of look. And then it gives you all these little keys, but the thing is you actually have to stop and pay attention to all these little keys. And yep, I still don't know what that tiny little piece is. Will it present itself? Absolutely, 100%. I know it will. Because I'm starting to shift more. And what I mean by shift more is all that pain and discomfort that I was going through is starting to lift away. My neck is still killing me. My eyes look really tired. They actually feel quite dry and gritty and, you know, considering how much sleep I have, they should not be tired and gritty and feeling like they're dry, but they are. So I know that it's still stuff that I haven't been able to see yet. I'm still not seeing it yet. So the eyes allow us to see things. So mine are gritty and tired and just feel like not so much that someone's thrown a handful of sand in them, but they just feel tired and a bit stingy. So I know that the vision is not crystal clear yet. So the more that passes away, the more my neck starts to settle down, the more my elbow on my left-hand side starts to subside with the discomfort and the acute little sharp pin the needles that I'm getting in it, then I think, okay, I'm going to get through this. This is temporary. Now, when we get through all of that, okay, and sometimes shifts happen and we don't even realize they happen. We just wake up and go, oh, hang on a minute. That tree looks greener than I've ever seen it before. That's also a shift, okay? So it's not going to be a profound, uncomfortable thing. For me, I think the reason why it was so powerful and why I felt like it's like if you picture somebody on either side of me and one person's pulling my soul out to the right and the other person's pulling my body out to the left. That's what it felt like when I was driving and riding my motorcycle. Not the coolest moment in the world. But that's the only way I can describe it. It was really like a separation. I'm getting out of here. And I kind of feel like because I used to astral travel when I was frightened as a child, that I didn't really understand what was going on with the shift. So I got frightened. So now I'm going, okay, I'm going now. And I'm thinking, no, you have to stay here. And the reason why it kept happening in the car and on my motorcycle is because I was getting increasingly scared. I was really getting quite frightened of what was going on. So the more I get scared, the more I want to flight, the more I want to astral travel, the more my body and my soul are getting separated from one another. So it's really quite, now, hindsight, thank you, I'm sitting here giggling about it thinking, oh shit, that's what was going on. I can assure you, ladies and gents, that is not what was logic was not going through my mind when I was in the midst of it. It just didn't. But I'm a big self-reflector, and I encourage other people to reflect upon themselves as well and think about how my body was reacting. Why did I feel this way? Why did I respond in that manner? Because it's really hard to think about all those things when you're in the heat of the moment, when it's actually happening. But hindsight, you can go back and go, right, what did I do? What can I do better? What do I know for next time? So that's why self-reflection is just such a cool tool to have. So now that everything's subsiding, and I know that it was manifesting, and I know that it's my past, and I know it's this tiny little bit of feminine stuff that I need to release somehow, and I know that I don't have to give up anything from my masculine side. This is not going to be, me going to bed as a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman and waking up tomorrow with beautiful chocolate skin and chocolate eyes and chocolate hair. It's not that sort of change. But where's my perception going to sit? What am I learning from this? And then once I process it and understand it and learn from it, then I can start getting people that will come to me and asking me about readings. And the universe will do this. It's done this entire lives. My entire life I've been, okay, I'm going to go through this. This is what it is. I understand that now. I understand the process behind it. I understand everything there is to know about that from my perspective and from my life and my experiences and my habits and my conditioning. And then I actually get somebody coming up and saying, hey, I'm going through this. And I'm going, wow, you're not going to believe this. I actually just went through this myself. And then that's how we help people. And I think by parking the fact that we're embarrassed about going through stuff, like, I've just openly admitted on the radio and on Facebook that I've been kooky all week, and there is obviously an element of some people not understanding that process, or other people not understanding how that works or what that looks like, or they've never been through it themselves that they're unaware of. And there's elements of people that go, wow, like that's amazing. This happened to me. Do you think that could be the same thing? And I think, we're all here to learn. We don't come with instruction manuals. We don't come with what our lives are going to look like. There's the Akashic Record, which is obviously the dialogue and the encyclopedia of everything that's been preordained and predestined and free will and all of our decisions, all of our past, and it's associated with the soul. We can have a look in the library, the Akashic Records, and we can check that out. And there's absolutely processes for doing that. But I think if we learn about ourselves and we learn about our triggers and we look at our past and we emotionally disconnect from it because it can't hurt us anymore. We've already lived it. We don't need to relive it every time we think about it, but we can learn from it. So I know that whatever this little tiny thing is that needs to come out, I will be fine. I wish next time that I didn't have to go through the physical discomfort and maybe not sleep as much because, sometimes sleeping too much can make you even more tired. But I don't regret going through it. I don't. It's, I can't wait to see what extra skills and what extra downloads have happened as a result of me going through this in the last week. And what that tiny little piece is that's been locked away. I know it's got something to do. I kind of feel like it's got something to do with self-preservation and self-protection because the feminine energy is very nurturing and compassionate and kind and generous and, it's all that beautiful spiritual side of things, okay, the softness side of things. And I think that because I had to be in the masculine phase and the hunter-gatherer phase for such a long time, I kept this little part of me hidden away unwillingly, unknowingly, whatever, until I could feel really safe and secure within myself and I knew that I could bring this little sensitivity out or whatever that is and whatever that looks like. So, I'm almost want to say game on Donkey Kong, but I also don't want to antagonize the spirit world right now because I'm still healing and I don't need any more of those headaches or any more of that time sleeping and not just wanting to block away from everything in the world. Just really is having that total hibernation sabbatical so I can just learn about me and what this looks like and what that might be. And the last 2 years I've certainly worked out a lot of information about what happened to me as a child. A lot of stuff is still coming out about that as well. So I would say this tiny little piece of me is a huge key and might be a tiny little piece, but it's a big piece of the puzzle. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what that is. So stay tuned, because when I work it out, I'll be like, ah, gotcha. This is what it means. This is what I went through. This is what I've released. And then, there's never any malice in what pops up for me. As I work out, more molesting and abuse, and remembering the violence and remembering the lies and all that sort of stuff. There's no malice. And if you can see me now on Facebook, you can see that there's no malice, because it's, I need to let that go. Otherwise it will consume me, it will destroy me. And I've got shit to do, people. I can't sit around letting somebody else that's such an insignificant, abusive, cruel person have that much of an impact on my life. I've got things to do. I've got a to-do list. I'm doing the things to do. And, it is a big mind shift, and it's a big mind shift, because you have to apply intelligent emotion around how you're going to deal with that, and how to process it, and how to deal with it, and how to let it go, and acknowledge it, because, it did happen, and then, palm it off. Get the hell out of Dodge, get on with what you need to do in your life, and that's what happens. So yeah, that's just about me for this week. So Shiva, it's a giant poopy looking stone. It balances masculine and feminine. So if you are having a hard time at the moment understanding the things that are going on in your life, understanding, or you're too in the masculine or you're too in the feminine, and you are being consumed by your emotions way too much, things are just getting to you, or you're not associating anything at all, you're just like making like a dog, weeing on it, walking off, Shiva is just definitely the stone for you. I am doing private readings. I'm taking bookings for next week and the week beyond that, because I am booked out this week. Had to do a little reshuffle, as I mentioned. So if you want to do a private reading with me, I'm on www.insightsbyjohnita, JOHNITA.com. You can catch me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, you can always subscribe to me on YouTube. I keep the same name everywhere, so it's nice and easy for everybody, myself included. Insights by Johnita. And that is it for me this week. Thanks very much for tuning in. Remember, Shiva is the balancing stone that you will need in your life, and I will see you all again next week. Bye for now.